Okay, welcome to the last video of the Learning Aim A for Component 1. We're now on section 19. Now this should be a relatively short video. I know I've said that a few times through these guides, these video tutorials, but I mean it in this one purely because it is not that much different from the previous one. So if you finish section 8, then this should be pretty easy. The difference in this section is that you're doing it all over again. For this time though, you're choosing a menu. So there's a comparison between the design principles being used in an example GUI, which I showed in the last video. I've got a folder here talking about different examples here, but again, you don't need to do screenshotting or anything like that. You just need to talk about it. You're doing the exact same thing this time on menus. So you'll see the questions are identical, the list is the same, but the difference is obviously the item itself. So this time we're looking at menus. As before, I said, look at page 18 to 13. It's very, very important that you do that. If you don't have that knowledge, the background information, you don't have the foundation. If you don't have the foundation, just like a building, everything collapses. So you need to know what you're talking about before you do it. So if you read through pages 18 to 33 and done all those tasks already with your classes and your lessons and your teachers, that's fantastic. You should have that foundation already in there. I would still suggest that you have the pages in front of you and have as a point of reference while you're doing this. As I said, I've not mentioned this for a while now, but please don't delete any of the red writing here. It's for your benefit. Obviously, when you do the real thing, you will not have any of the red. You will only have the black writing as your titles to help you structure your work. So let's go on to this then. So it's the same thing as in the previous section 8. You're going to find yourself a good example of a menu, one that you can talk about quite a lot. I would suggest maybe one of the cars here, maybe, or the Samsung TV, but I'll leave it up to you. Microsoft PowerPoint ribbon, the Windows Microsoft Word ribbon. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really good ones that you can watch and talk about. I do have others as well, but I'd say these are the best ones because it shows you a whole range and a variety of different ways that menus have been used. Just be careful though, ladies and gents, that when you are watching these videos, you don't get trapped into looking at certain elements that are obviously not menu. So if I go on to this one here as an example, and I showed you this in one of the previous videos. This is a BMW X5. Again, no credit for this video. This is done by Alex L. Dykes on YouTube. I've only downloaded it just so that my students can watch it in lessons because they do not have access to YouTube in school. Those of you who are following from home, I'd suggest you go to YouTube and type that person's name. In fact, if you type that here at the top, you'll find it. Now, what I want you to do is, some things are clearly menu. That's a menu, okay? That is not. That is. That is. That is. This here is not. So you have to use some common sense. Now, if you do mix it up and say that's a menu, what all you're doing, boys and girls, is you're proving to the examiner, to the external moderator and your teachers that you still don't know the difference between a menu and a GUI. So please be careful. If it's a list of words, then it's a menu. If it goes up and down and it cascades or jumps out, it's a menu. So make sure that you focus on specific areas that are menu. Now, the reason why I say you look at these videos rather than just a picture, because you have to answer these questions here. So you can talk about it in steps. You can say, if when you go to this page, I see this icon being used, I see this button being used, I see this drop down menu, I see this font, and you'll say that the font is the same. If you can't identify it, just say it's the same font all the way through. You could talk about the size and colors though. You can talk about how they go up and down, or if it's a relatively large size, and whether you think it's legible meaning is it easy to read, is it easy on the eyes, and talk about certain applications. Are there any gestures? What can you see? Is there anything else that are being incorporated in the menu system that makes the menu system easier? Then you might ask yourself, this is a BMW, that's a which one was it now? Let me just check. Is that a X5? Did he say? Let me just double check it. But either way, it's an expensive car. Yeah, it's an X5. It's not cheap. So why did it go for the menu with the knob rather than a touchscreen? And the answer is actually more obvious than you think. You're just gonna ask yourself and think about it. But he might actually talk about it in the video. So check it out. Go through that list and talk about the design choices this user interface has made. What designs do you see? Color schemes, space, size, so on and so forth. What do you see? Why is it there? How is it there? And how does it help? Okay, so go through this list, and again, I'm expecting 2 or 3 paragraphs to do this properly. If you do that, you're looking at distinctions. If you do that, by the way, boys and girls, congratulations, you've done Learning Aim A. The next step will be, boys and girls, your teacher, if it's me, will take this off you. And if you're in my class, what you'll do is you're going to submit it. So you'll have 2 ways to do that. One would be to basically click, and typically you'd find a submit or share button here. If not there, don't worry, it's on Google Classroom, which means Google Drive, which means it saves automatically. You just go back to Google Classroom and submit it there. If you're doing it in your own time at home, I just suggest you email it to your teacher or print it off and hand it to them. But you want to give them an opportunity to have a look at this and give you some feedback. The next step after that would be to basically use that feedback, make those improvements, and of course have those saved. If it's on Google Drive, Google Docs like this, then obviously it saves automatically. And I just want to stop for a second here before I finish this video and remind you that the whole point of this mock, this exercise, this practice is this. Once you've done it that one time, then you got the feedback from your teacher, you have something to look back at. So when you start the real thing, your teacher, if it's me, then it's me. If it's not someone else, that's fine. They can't tell you anything. They can't give you any answers. What they can do is say, remember when you did this, section 9 of your practice. Remember when you did this. Remember when you did that. What did we talk about? And then you can then look at what you said. And the reason why it's such a powerful tool is because you will know what grade you got for this. They can't tell you what grade you're going to get for the real thing. So once you've done this, and if you worked out a distinction, then you know if you do exactly the same kind of content, share the same kind of knowledge, have the same kind of description and investigation, and make the same comparisons for the real one, then it's safe to say that you're working at the same level as well. So I hope that's helped, boys and girls. We'll pick up again in the next guide and list of videos, or series of videos, and that'll be all aimed at Learning Aim B.